Hey, it's Trevor Newland. I'm an Alien Romulus and Smile 2, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There podcast.
They've conquered the big screen. Now, get ready for the spin-off sure to send chills down your spine. It's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Destin in Don't Go Out There, the series.
Welcome back, everybody, to DGOT, the series. We really appreciate y'all listening. We hope y'all have been enjoying these series reviews. I know we have. It's been a lot of fun. Just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I'm going to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network, so there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. As we continue on with Alien Earth, Episode 4, I'll just go ahead and give my quick general thoughts. I thought this episode was it had ups and downs to me personally. I thought it was okay. I was looking forward to it, but there was just some stuff I really didn't care for, but I thought it was fine. It ended on a nice note. So yeah, that's my general thoughts. Brian, what do you think?
This is my least favorite episode so far that we've done, and I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't feel like it progressed enough stuff, especially in comparison to what we've seen so far. I mean, damn. But the name of the episode's Observation. I mean, shit, that refers to a bunch of different shit, but it's just as like a condensed version. I guess everybody's being spied on, and I don't guess I needed an entire episode to tell me that. Could probably be classified as a filler episode, in my opinion. Again, not bad. It's well made. It's fine. But my least favorite of the bunch so far. Now, I know next week's is a flashback episode, so I may wish I had this one, instead of that. I don't know. We'll see. It just depends on how they do it. But I feel like we're going to see what happened to everybody on the ship there. But just thus far, anyway, episode to me.
Look, man. See, I'm on the different side of the coin from you there, Brian, because the stuff I'm interested in that this series is doing, this episode features heavily. Now, it is a very kind of talking, dialogue-heavy episode, and so it does get a little, long and monotonous. But I'm more interested in this stuff with Wendy and that character development, what that looks like with Boy Cavalier and things like that, than I really am anything to do with the aliens, like the actual physical presence of the xenomorph, right? So not saying that stuff is bad, because, I sent a text in the group this morning that I think they've done a great job up to this point with everything. Even the stuff that I normally wouldn't like about the movie franchise, I think they've done a pretty good job. But as far as being filler, I do understand that. Definitely feels like a connective episode to kind of keep the plot moving. But I like the episode. I like the relationship with Wendy and Joe. And building that out and Joe's story, and Morrow is a fascinating character. I love how evil he is, but sometimes it's justified. And I just feel like this is a really good character fleshing out episode. I think they do a pretty good job with. Now, it's a little longer than I want it to be, but I do think there's some really good stuff here.
Yeah, this is my least favorite episode we've done too. I thought the first 3 episodes were, solid, but this one took a step back for me. And Brian, we're not alone, and Nico, we're not alone in saying that, because before this week's episode, the one that aired this week in real time, this was tied for the lowest rating on IMDb of all the episodes. 7.4, tied with episode 3. Episode 5, Brian, the one that you're kind of dreading or unsure of, is the highest rated episode in the season. So,
oh, nice. Okay, good.
Gives us something to look forward to. But I just think that this one, it just took a step back story wise. Like it didn't do enough to keep me invested, and
exactly.
It kind of moved at a snail's pace. Like it's episodes like this that make me get on my soapbox that I've been on for a long time about. God, this did not need to be a show. Make this a freaking 2.5, even 3 hour long movie. Cut this out. But it wasn't bad. Like as far as quality, it's very well made, very well acted. The dialogue is fine. It's just too much dialogue, not enough happening.
You know, if we're gonna like slow it down and like only focus on characters, like let me see Wendy the whole time for reasons.
Hey, you ain't lying, brother. Hey, you know I
amen to that, bro.
I told Nico something that I learned. I was unaware of this.
Are you gonna say the whole? You gonna say the whole thing?
Well, we'll see how it goes once I start talking. I never really know where I'm going until I'm done talking. But the actress that plays Wendy, you know, her dad is Kyle Chandler. Had no clue. Kyle Chandler he's one of those faces that you've seen him, and when you look him up, you're like, oh, it's him. He was in Argo, Manchester by the Sea. Good actor. But that's his daughter. He was also the agent that was trying to take down Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street. Like him. That's his daughter. And respectfully, Mr. Chandler, I would put your daughter through a headboard. Go ahead.
God damn it. At least you said respectfully.
I said respectfully. So to answer your question, Nico, yes, I am going to say the whole thing. She's a handsome lady.
It's your turn to do the scene by scene.
Oh, yeah. Lord, bear me strength. I got to read this scene by scene. Episode 4, Observation. We open with our customary recap full of clips from the previous episode, and we see an alien corpse floating on the shore. We cut to Wendy, whose hearing has been turned off, and Kirsch and crew talk about her being able to hear the xenomorph. Boy Cavalier, who I'm going to start calling BK throughout, so just get ready. When I say BK, it's Boy Cavalier. He joins them, and he already knows that, and tells Kirsch to go do some experimenting. Joe comes to visit, and Boy Cavalier is real douchey to him, and instructs Arthur, we'll call him, to turn Wendy's hearing back on. She tells him what happened, and that the sound was the baby alien screaming. She and BK reject Arthur's suggestion to fix it to where she can't hear it anymore. They adjust the levels to where the sound is tolerable, and BK asks Curly if she can hear it, but she can't. He wants Wendy to replicate the sound, and the room is uneasy when she does, and BK reluctantly gives her a break to rest. Adam Mines tells BK when a hostile creature begins talking, you should ask why, and suggests that they return the species to Yutani, but BK isn't interested in that, and says to tell Joe he can stay, but to remind him who he works for. We cut to Wendy showing Joe her room, and he tells her he's mad at them for not letting them see her when she was in the hospital, and she didn't know that he wanted to come see her. But he says he's here now, and that's the open.
Yeah, the opening here with the doll head and the shots of the beach probably purposely mirrors the opening to Alien 3, where Ripley crash lands at the start there on that beach. Let me see if I can pronounce this fantastically. Ugle Hochstötter directed this one. God. I don't know. Was that disrespectful?
He ain't coming on the show.
No, that's a girl. So
she ain't
definitely not now.
Definitely not now. I didn't assume gender.
She's Icelandic, so I have no idea how you say that word, but I thought it was going to be fun to try. And I can't take credit for this observation. I saw it during my research, but Wendy waking up and seeing Kirsch and Dame Sylvia from her point of view is exactly almost shot for shot like Alex Murphy waking up in the very first RoboCop. Great movie, by the way. The line Cavalier gives us here, and by the way, Dustin, you calling him BK reminds me. Remember those old shoes, British Knights? Do you remember those old shoes? And they were like all white, all of them. Anyway, when him saying, "Just assume I'm ahead of you," always. I mean, it's just the perfect pompous ass line for him. As Samuel Blinken I think, continued to do a great job making me wish he'd get killed sooner rather than later. And I was kind of surprised to see Joe here. Honestly, I kind of figured he would have that lung like put back inside of him, except be impregnated this time. So I guess props to the writers for throwing me off there. The rest of this, I just honestly don't care much for. I mean, it's some character development between Wendy and Joe, but I don't think we needed it. I mean, I think we get it. They've got a brother sister bond, and it's close. I guess I didn't really need to see all that.
Yeah, like I mentioned the last time I was on, this is the stuff I'm most interested in. I understand it being a least favorite of everyone else, though. I completely do, because it does slow things down, for sure. Everything with, Wendy and questioning what's human, what's not human, all that stuff fascinates me. And so I think it's super interesting. I will tell you, something ringing in my head all day would drive me nuts. I'm not Randy Orton. I don't have voices in my head that often anyway. And so having this constant buzz in my head would drive me nuts. I think the scene with Wendy having to kind of project it out of her body, I thought was well done. BK, as Dustin named him, which I'll be stealing that now because dude, Boy Cavalier is just weird to say, right? Like I did the scene by scene for episode 2 and I was like, do I call him Boy? Like that just feels weird, right? Like it's super odd. So I'm with you. I think BK, and not even my favorite BK because that's Burger King. Shout out to the Bacon King sandwich, brother. Great fucking burger. Anyway, I like that scene with Wendy, and I do think this character of BK is interesting to me, just in general, as a villain, as a not villain. Like I don't know what to make of him. He does and says some really evil things, but I never get the idea that there's full evil intention behind him. And so I find that very interesting. I feel like he's doing it for reasons that he thinks are justified. So sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. Last thing I really have here is this the first time that the word xenomorph is said like this at the end of this set of scenes? I could be wrong. I've watched all 4 episodes now. Maybe I just didn't click with it, but I was like, someone in the show called it a xenomorph. I found that to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm digging the opening off rip. Random head on the beach, ominous score, Wendy tweaking with the pain. I thought that was nice. Boy Cavalier continues to be a douchebag in his interaction with Kirsch. I just foresee Kirsch sending Cavalier to the afterlife. I've been watching a lot of Spartacus, so I just have the word afterlife on my mind. That I'll be back. It's got to be a Terminator nod, right? And why are you hollering, Wendy? You need to be in the special class. Sorry, classic Cat Williams took over right there. Wendy recreating the sound, I thought was an awesome scene. Everyone involved was mesmerized with what the hell is going on here. I thought it was great. Boy Cavalier just ready to ditch his girl Curly for Wendy with a quickness. I mean, I'll let Dustin touch on that. I can't speak. Good point by Adam Enos. When a hostile alien starts to speak, you need to ask why. I thought that was great line delivery. And the last thing I got is, I thought it was a decent opening, and I'm curious how this Wendy hearing the aliens thing fleshes out.
First of all, man said random head on a beach. Like I've seen that movie. That was crazy. And secondly, Mike, talking about the xenomorph thing, I think you're right. I think it is the first time it's been uttered. And if it is this where the name came from? Because it's a prequel to the original movies. Right. So I wonder, I don't know. I wish they kind of would have expounded on that a little bit.
I think that they've said xenomorph one time before.
Have they?
Okay.
But I can't tell you when, so I'm not sure. But you guys may be right. But I think for some reason I remember hearing it. But anyway, it's neither here nor there.
I had just noticed it. I'm like, that's interesting. That's not something that clicked.
Or maybe
in
it was
my
in
head.
the files. Maybe it was in the computer files that they had.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, they've definitely been saying alien more than xenomorph. So, yeah. All right. Wendy and Joe are watching some TV, and we hear BK reading as we see Slightly walking through the jungle, it seems like. Morrow is still trying to convince Slightly that they're friends and asks him for help. He needs one of the eggs. He gives Morrow a moral inquiry and says loyalty is a very different principle. Back in his room, Kirsch is waiting on Slightly and asks him if he did something evil, would he report him? And Morrow is listening in and says, careful. Slightly asks if it's a test, and then says he would stand up for his friends. We cut to a sheep in a lab where Kirsch puts an alien species in the cell with the sheep. The alien attacks the sheep and takes it down quickly, and then pulls out the sheep's eye and crawls into the eye socket. The sheep reanimates and stands up, and BK looks on in awe while Kirsch says the creature is highly intelligent. Next, we see Arthur and Sylvia walking, and Arthur voices his displeasure over their change in direction regarding their research. Nibs interrupts to tell them she's pregnant, and they say that's not possible, but she's sure of it. Sylvia walks her back to her room and asks her if she knows how babies are made, and she says, "Yeah, grew up on a farm, dude," and uses Jesus as rationale for why that's not necessary. Okay. They talk a while, and Sylvia asks what happened at the towers, but Nibs doesn't want to talk about it and snatches her up real quick. So Dame Sylvia changes the subject. Sylvia hits a button under the table, and Nibs asks what she thinks about the name Trevor if the baby's a boy. And Sylvia says, "That's a strong name."
Yeah, probably because I'm scorned from A24. God damn it. Ninja Turtles started playing. Probably because I'm scorned from A24 films, but the way Joe looked at Wendy at the start of this set of scenes and then went in for that hug on the bed, it didn't look at first like he was going in for a hug there. So I took a deep breath, and I was just like, woo! At least glad this wasn't an Ari Aster movie.
Well, it's not his sister's body.
Okay, all right. Anyway, during that scene Jesus Christ, during that scene with slightly being kind of gaslit by Morrow over there, their little connection, it was interesting to see that Kirsch is monitoring the situation and knows what's going on. But yet Cavalier and company, I guess, are too distracted by the new shiny toys he has to play with now. So I do wonder if the kid portion of the synths will ever, I guess, evolve or grow up, or are they going to be like this kid-like forever? So I'm sure we won't find out, because I kind of have a feeling that they're not going to last over this season, but I'm still curious for sure. And, this is all pretty creepy with Morrow, and slightly, because, it should as hell, it was kind of grooming, right? To an extent. Kind of interesting. The hear no evil speech from Kirsch, I'll go ahead and say it. He's by far my favorite character in the show. But yeah, I feel like that speech is interpreted to be talking about Cavalier and how he's kind of going to eventually be his own undoing here. I thought it was a crazy ass scene with what we learned last week. This alien, this eyeball alien, or like I said last week, species 64. We find out it's extremely intelligent, but just the effects and then kind of seeing it enter that sheep's eye, I thought was nuts. And I mentioned Jurassic Park last week and the whole island disaster that I'm sure is coming. That was very reminiscent of the T-Rex scene with the goat as well, I thought. I also thought it was a little weird finding out that Dame Sylvia and Arthur were husband and wife, because my first thought was, if you're husband and wife, why can't we have this conversation in the bed or in your room where there aren't like a billion cameras? I'm sure monitoring you all the time. Kind of just seems fucking dumb to me. But lastly, that scene with Damon Nibs was much more tense than it had any business being. You can see Nibs losing it a little bit because of her fear. And it was, again, I thought a very tense scene.
I actually like the sibling relationship we're building with Wendy and Joe. I seem to be alone in this, like wanting more depth with these two. I think actually helps me, right? Like I understand that it's established, so I, get where people are coming from, but I like that we're fleshing this out, getting to know a little bit more. And, that would be really weird, by the way, to talk to my sister that was little and now she's in this body. It would be odd, for sure. Morrow, like I've mentioned, I think is another fascinating character. A bad guy for sometimes justified reasons, and he's a stone cold motherfucker. Don't get it twisted. Like he's really a bad son bitch, and I like the character. I think it adds a lot to the movie. And normally I'm not a fan of having another, antagonist in this, right? Like I think one antagonist is enough, especially for the Alien franchise. But I think it's interesting to have somebody that's kind of evil, but in some justified ways. I liked it. Kirsch with some wise words here. That's what being an adult is, a constant test. I'm going to get that shit tattooed on my chest. That motherfucker was spitting, man. I said, a constant test. You ain't wrong, Timothy Oliphant. And this poor sheep, I felt, as soon as I saw this sheep come on screen, I said, God damn it. We're fucking with animals, man. What are we doing? And it was a gross scene. Everything with the eye. I said, fucking with animals, Dustin. With animals. This isn't an Insane Clown Posse song, brother. Come on. Shout out if you know the reference. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Anyway, the dating game. But did they just create a sheep alien human hybrid thing? What the fuck is this thing, man? It would creep me out. I didn't like the way it was looking back at BK. It gave me the heebie-jeebies. Dame looks about 15 years older than this dude. I didn't understand why they're a thing. But anyway, look, how the hell would this machine woman be pregnant? Nibs is creeping me out. Last thing I have, Nibs is creeping me out here. I think this is a very intense scene. And I, like you, Brian, was wondering why. Why was the scene so tense? I think it's really well done as far as ramping it up with Dame, but I was like, wow, this went 0 to 100. She's kind of turning up the knot a little bit. I don't know what's going on, but I'm invested.
I'm not loving this exchange between Morrow and Slightly. I was ready to see this Wendy hearing aliens explained more and fleshed out. Maybe the payoff would be worth it, though. Back from commercial, because Hulu has commercial after commercial. And we got a sheep hooked up about to get experimented on. I'm not looking for animal cruelty, really, but I do want some alien shit to pop off, and it does, for sure. And what in the world is this eyeball-looking octopus creature? Hot take, but I thought the CG looked good on it, and this critter is wreaking havoc. I thought this was disgustingly gnarly. We had face huggers, now eyeball snatchers. Aliens aren't messing around, I tell you what. Haunting bit of music as Cavalier looks at the newly infected sheep. Nibs makes it awkward after Dame and Arthur's exchange. How is you having a baby, lady? Yep, and I called it. Nibs, I think, is infected by that disgusting eyeball alien that we saw in previous episodes. She just snapped on Mama, though. I wouldn't want the smoke from her, to be honest. Honestly, though, I didn't love this set of scenes that much. I thought it was a lot of yapping just outside of that sheep versus alien thing.
You ain't lying. All right. Some guards enter, and Sylvia says she forgot she's late for a meeting. Nibs skedaddles, and Sylvia tells the guards to secure Nibs in her room and tell his supervisor there's a level 3 situation. Adam and Joe were talking, and Adam says they want confirmation from Joe that the transition was a success. Joe quits. And Adam tells him he's got to go home then, and he won't be able to talk to his sister anymore. Oh, and he owes the company for a new lung. Joe backs down off his stance there, and he finally agrees to help. Adam tells Joe that Wendy is the company's property, and he can never take her home. Back at his pad, BK is tossing a ball when Wendy comes in for a meeting with Sylvia. But he asks her to sit down and asks if fighting the alien was more like fighting pirates or Indians, but decides it's more like fighting the crocodile because now she can hear the clock. She says BK shouldn't have cut them open and they should send them back, but he says they should send Joe back. He says Joe didn't even come to visit her when she was sick. Low blow, man. He says if she helps him figure out what the aliens are saying, Joe can stay, and he sends her away. We see the sheep again, and Toodles tells Kirsch he wants a new name. He's been thinking about serious scientists and chooses Isaac after Isaac Newton. And Kirsch says, yes, I think that's right. And the next set of scenes is the ending.
Yeah, this scene with Joe here at the start of this and Baldy McPherson, Adam Eanes, very much just a blackmail scene to Joe, basically telling him that Cavalier now owns him. Again, I thought that went on a little too long for my liking, but I did find it interesting as what they're basically asking Hermit to do is perform a cheering test on his sister, reminding me a lot of Ex Machina. Check out a review on that one, the only good A24 film, don'tgooutthere.com. I'm just kidding. There are a couple of decent ones. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure that Ian's guy is a machine as well. I mean, but just because just earlier when he caught that ball that Cavalier threw against the glass, the same way Wendy did in episode 1, I think. So I think that's definitely something we'll find out later on. And I know that before Cavalier said that the transfer works better on kids, but to know that, wouldn't you have had to perform it on an adult first? So maybe he's the test. I don't know. Just another theory. Again, the acting, especially from Sydney Chandler here, I'll say it again. She does a brilliant job of acting like a kid stuck in an adult's body. And yeah, I mean, I know all the actors do a brilliant job of acting vulnerable and portraying that, but the show doesn't work if Chandler is an elite. And this scene with Boy Cavalier blackmailing her with her brother, and then the whole scene at the table where Slightly basically decides to, what I think, I guess, go after Joe because his family can't be on the island too. It just works really well, I think.
Man, poor Nibs. I think I could fix her. Sorry. I'm done. I love this conversation that Joe is having when he asks about, did you download her consciousness and is that her? That's what's pulled me in so far. It's this question of what's human and what's not. And, that existential question I really like, but telling her own brother she's not human anymore. Ouch. Toughie. Look, Boy and Wendy, I called him Boy, son of a bitch. BK and Wendy, which is funny because Burger King and Wendy's. Anyway, BK and Wendy having this conversation. BK and Wendy having this conversation is super interesting to me because this, it's kind of his creation or his doing, right? And he's treating her like a regular person, talking to her like a regular person, but trying to manipulate her because it technically is a child in an adult body, right? And so I think this is really the first time I saw BK turn heel, for lack of a better term in this way, where he really is an asshole, uses her brother's situation against her. Definitely has my antenna up as far as BK goes. Last thing I have here is just be careful of Kirsch, man. I know he's trying to be this guy of wisdom, but he could be working for Billy Loomis's mom. Y'all don't know that motherfucker.
Just giving you a heads up, Dustin, I don't have much on this set of scenes. Great acting by Essie Davis. He portrayed her fear very well. Adam Enos just went repo the genetic opera on Joe. Work for us, it will bill you for this lung. But at least they didn't threaten taking it back from him. Of course, Cavalier's goofy ass doesn't know how to do a pinky promise right. What the hell was that? That was one of the weirdest, most awkward things I've ever seen. And the last thing I got is I thought it was just another lackluster set of scenes, but maybe we'll finish strong. Too much yapping.
Yeah. All right, here's the ending. We see Slightly about to enter the lab when Isaac exits and tells him about his new name. Slightly says Arthur needed something from the lab, but gets all nervous when Isaac asks what it was he needed. He tells Isaac he's going for a walk and abandons mission for now. Kirsch taps into Slightly's mind and hears him talking to Morrow. Slightly tells Morrow there's no way he can do it, and Morrow asks, can't or won't? It's can't. And Morrow is with Slightly's mom. He leverages Slightly's family to get him to agree to help. Morrow says instead of sneaking out an egg, to sneak in a person so that when the egg hatches, it will latch on to the person and then Slightly can bring the person to Morrow. Morrow gives Slightly 24 hours and reminds him of when he said he'll do anything to protect his parents. We see Kirsch enter the egg layer, and then we see the lost boys and girls playing some games by the water. Slightly shows up and gets upset that Wendy gets to have her brother there when the rest of them don't. The group is split on whether they should make a fuss about it, and Wendy says she's going to the lab. Later, Joe is admiring his new scar while Slightly looks on from the bushes, peeping through the window like he's George McFly. In the lab, Wendy is looking at an experiment as Kirsch looks on at her. A lot of peeping Toms in this one. The organ she's looking at starts to gyrate, and then an alien emerges from it and bursts through the glass. They have a stare down, and she starts petting it like a lunatic, and the episode ends. And also, I thought it was funny that the xenomorph thing that popped out was like perched up like a king cobra. That was kind of funny.
All right, so we definitely continue on the Peter Pan metaphors here. The start of this with Slightly talking to Morrow again, and Morrow's definitely playing that Captain Hook character metaphor. And again, Bobo Cizé, I'm not real sure how you say that. Is that close? Bobo Cizé playing Morrow. I think he's such a good villain, and I don't think that he may not even be the villain in the end. But so far, they've kind of had him just turn it on and turn it off, and he's so damn good at it. The end here with the alien charming and Wendy, I didn't love it. Like, if you haven't noticed, I don't want to see this kind of control over a xenomorph. I just want to see chaos and killing in my alien movies. So I'm a little cautious about what's to come, to be honest. But I didn't love that. It's like Snake Charmer Wendy, except it was Alien Charmer. So yeah, that's it. Just kind of a meh episode to me.
Yeah, I don't have a ton here. The names Toodles and Slightly are always hilarious to me. I will say this. Love that character Morrow, man. I can't wait to see how they flesh that out and develop it more. I'm a big fan of him being a second villain here. I won't lie, this porch thing that they're kind of hanging out on, it looks like a cool place to hang. You know what would be really good there? If I brought in a fire pit and Brian and Dustin were hanging out with me while I played the guitar around it, looking out over that river. How fucking fun would that be? That would be
It would be really fun when I throw the guitar into the water.
I know Nico would stay and hang, sing a couple songs. I heard those city singers. Yeah, again, I don't have a whole lot. This scar on Joe here is an interesting development. He kind of looks like he, went to bed on Elm Street, so I'm interested to see how that plays out. And I like the xenomorph being involved here. Why is it a snake xenomorph? Like, are we turning different animals into xenomorph versions of it? I'm not really sure, and I'm not a big fan of the snake charmer thing either. But all in all, I thought the ending kind of made it fall flat, but I did like the episode more than the rest.
I don't have a lot on this set of scenes either. I did get a big pop. Oh, shit. Mora with the plot twist. Bro is with Slightly's mom and threatened to hurt his brothers. Oh, Lord. I like that, actually. Mora was strong-arming the hell out of him, too. I loved it. Nice reveal with this little alien bursting out the lung and the standoff with Wendy. But why is she able to pet it so casually? And she seems like she likes it. I thought that was a little off, but the ending did kind of save the episode for me. At least got me back intrigued to wanting to watch episode 5. Like, I just want to see alien stuff. Like, I don't need all this yapping.
Yeah, let me give my. I'll go ahead and give my thoughts since I just did the scene by scene there. Like I said, it took a step back for me. It's still really well made and well acted, but it slowed down a lot, and the story is starting to lose me. Not with its complexity, but with the direction that it's going. Overall, I gave this one a 7 because it's technically a good episode. I just didn't enjoy it as much.
We appreciate y'all tuning in. Yeah, we'll be back next week with episode 5.
Jason X. Also in space.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody.